FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's 12/12/17. Well, there's a thing called Trumpitude, and there's a book out, Trumpitude, The Secret Confessions of Donald's Brain, and it's written by somebody whose work I've been reading for decades now. Your name is Ellis Henican. Ellis, you were writing for Newsweek, a column about the subway, which probably should have had a book in and of itself, just based on your columns. Trumpitude, what is it? Hey, first, before we get into that, email us at kl@kerrylutz.com. Be part of the show. The Twitter feed's at Kerry Lutz. Ellis, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be with you, man.
So what is Trumpitude?
Well, it was the idea of trying to get inside the head of this guy who's president and try and distill some of the lessons in there. And they're all over the place. Some of them are wild. Some of them are maddening. Some are self-destructive, probably. But the guy, love him or hate him, you got to admit he has a pretty unique way of presenting himself and thinking about the world. And so this was my humorous stab at trying to capture all that in a book that might give people a little insight and also a little bit of a laugh.
Hey, so you've written a lot of books. All right, this is your latest.
I have, yeah, and they're all different from this one. All the books I've written before have been, a lot of words on a page. And thankfully, a bunch of them have sold a lot of copies, so they let me keep doing it. But this is different. This is like a bathroom book. I mean, maybe that's not the right way to say it, but it's you can open it at any page. I worked with an illustrator. It's got, just a couple of lines on a page. So I figured 2 or 3 visits to Vagina, you could pretty much read this thing.
Hey, so maybe it could be a parlor game where you open up any random page in the book and read a quote from the book, and then everybody kind of goes around the room giving their impressions.
Yeah, trying to remember, when did he say it? What did it really mean? But by the way, I guess I should say maybe I spend more time in the John than your average person. But sometimes, actually, it really is true. I mean, you get in there, you start reading something, you realize, damn, I've been in here for like 20 minutes or something. Right?
Yeah, people are gonna start wondering. But sometimes
you're banging on the door.
Sometimes
my wife is like, come on, are you okay in there?
Just don't do it in the subway, all right? Or
fair enough.
Or the vice cops.
Very, very right. Do not. My best advice for subway bathrooms is try to hold it in.
Hey, and if you get to Grand Central, just go to the Oyster Bar, and they'll even provide you with an attendant, so everything will be good there.
I'll give you even a better piece of advice. Go to the Grand Hyatt Hotel, which is right above Grand Central, and was built by Donald Trump.
That's right. You won't find any 24-karat gold leafing in the public baths in the Hyatt, but they are clean and comfortable and secure, which there's something to be said. So you must have been laughing hysterically as you wrote this book because of the absurdity of it all. Do you ever think you'd be writing a book about Donald Trump?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I certainly never thought he would be president, which gives me something in common with Donald, because he never thought he was going to be president right up until election night when the results proved both of us wrong. I always knew he was a big character. I mean, as a tabloid reporter, newspaper reporter, and columnist in New York, I mean, he was a guy I chased around in various ways. I don't want to call it stalking, but I mean, it's, that's kind of what newspaper guys do. So I knew that he had a certain set of talents, right? Maybe they're a little different from the talents some people think, but he was certainly a great salesman, a great showman, a great self-promoter. And when you're in the news business and you're looking for good stories, there was never any doubt that you would get a good story out of Donald.
Yeah, there was always a story going on about Donald, regardless what was going on. And what I find amazing, I knew he was going to win president, by the way, Unlike you and Donald,
you're different,
I knew
you're
it.
different from me and him in that way.
I absolutely knew it. And the reason I knew it is because I'm a libertarian. I'm at a libertarian conference in Las Vegas called Freedom Fest, and he's a last-minute surprise guest. And he gets up there. There's 2,500 so-called libertarians. A Mexican guy, at the Q&A says to him, "Hey, you're a xenophobe. You hate this and that and that." And he goes to the guy, "Did the Mexican government pay you to say these things?" And everybody burst out hysterical laughing. He got a standing ovation, Ellis. At that point, the guy is the antithesis of libertarian. I knew he was going all the way and that he was serious about it and that he was going to do it. And I never deviated from that. I always knew it. So one of a couple dozen people. What is the most delusional aspect of his personality that you capture in the book?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that there is a disconnect with actual facts, right? Politicians used to think that they had to say things that were literally true. I mean, factually accurate in the way that you and I learned the difference between facts and opinions and lies and the truth when we were little children. So if Trump says, "I had the largest crowd in the history of inaugurations," now that's not true, but there is an ability that he has, I think, both to convince himself that it's true, which is where the delusional part comes in, and convince a certain segment of the population that's inclined to believe it, that it's true. And it turns out that there are not the penalties for doing that kind of stuff that most politicians and media people and other smart folks who follow this stuff thought. That you can do that, you can get away with it, and there's no real enforcement mechanism for making you pay.
Well, so two comments on this. Okay. All of these power personalities that talk about Steve Jobs in particular, Isaacson's book about him, that when he was in your presence, he had the ability to bend or transform reality. And I would say Trump definitely is that. But don't you think?
Yeah, that's just, the phrase I would use for that is just say stuff. You just say stuff. I mean, it might be true, it might not be true, it might be half true. He's very good at saying stuff. Absolutely a master at that, I think.
But when he said, "I had the biggest, greatest inauguration crowd of all time," don't you think maybe he was trolling the media because he knows it's not true, and he knows that the media is going to jump all over it and have hissy fits, and that is what his base loves about him?
It's interesting. I think he believes it. I don't think it's a strategy. I don't think he's sitting there and calculating and saying, "Well, if I say this, I'm going to get this kind of response from this person." I think he believes it. And I think if he says something 5 seconds later that directly contradicts it, I think he believes that too.
Well, that's a sociopath or a pathological liar's personality who believes their own lies. But what about a term like covfefe? All right. What do you, that's a Rorschach for the media. I mean, they obsessed over that term for days, trying to figure out what he meant. And I mean, obviously, to me, it was a typo. Like, nobody just comes up with something like that. What did it show you?
I don't know. That's one of the mysteries. I mean, I think he's never answered it. People wondered. It was written in a way that was like, "Yeah, I don't know. Does that mean something? Does it not?" I mean, one of the realities when you're present, and I think this is as true under Trump as it's been under the other recent presidents. Everything you say, people pay attention to. If you imply that the female senator from New York State was ready to have sex with you in order to get a campaign contribution, people pay attention to that. If you say you had the biggest crowd to any inauguration ever, people pay attention to that. If you call the leader of a nut job leader of a nuclear country rocket man, people pay attention to that. It is not a job for the bashful, and so that's just the reality, it seems to me. And we should, right? I mean, the guy is the president. We ought to pay attention to what he says.
Oh yeah, but look, you've been in the media a long time. Like, you guys generally like to get up at, if you don't have an early morning show, 10:30, 11 in the morning. But now you got Trump tweeting at 3 or 4 in the morning, and they have at all the major media outlets, they've got people who are on 24/7 call for Trump's next tweet. And then the interpretation process, maybe the projection process, for all we know, takes place across the media. That's got to be destroying the sleep patterns. The bad sleep patterns.
There are plenty of people to watch it. Don't worry about that. That'll be fun.
but he's disrupted the pattern of news. It used to be like on the weekend, most reporters could go home and nothing was going to happen, whether it happened or not. It wouldn't be in the news till Monday, and now that's all changed, hasn't it?
Well, yeah. Although I don't think that's Trump, right? I mean, that's just the technology has shifted. We now don't ink on paper delivered on the doorstep is not the way that we communicate in the 21st century. So, I mean, the entire process is sped up. By the way, I'm in favor of him tweeting. I want him to tweet all the time because I think it's a really important window on his head. He's the president. I want to know what he's thinking all the time. And so, I mean, there's some people, mostly people in the White House, General Kelly and others, who are like, please don't tweet. The lawyers don't want him tweeting. I want him to just never stop tweeting, actually, if that's possible.
Well, we definitely agree on that. And I would also state that if he hadn't tweeted the way that he did, he wouldn't be president now.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, it's a way that people communicate. Although, it's interesting. Twitter, I don't know anybody under like 35 or 40 who uses Twitter. Twitter is kind of like the old fart social media. I think. I mean, kids I know use Instagram. They use Snapchat. They use a lot of stuff. I know a lot of reporters and political people who use Twitter. But do you know anybody who's like, under 40 who uses Twitter? It's kind of like it's like your grandpa's social media, I think.
It's like Facebook. It's the same thing. I mean, the kids don't use it anymore. The kids, like you said, Instagram and Snapchat, and there's probably 8 apps that you and I are so like old we don't know about.
There's 6 others you and I are too old to know about, right?
Yeah, well, when we find out about them, then the kids will move on to something else.
Right, I remember that feeling, definitely.
Certainly right. Hey, so the way that the media has changed throughout your career, and you've been able to adapt to it, but the media as we know it doesn't exist anymore in its previous form, does it?
Well, I mean, the media is hugely important and it plays a giant role in life. I mean, the technology has changed. I mean, that's the way I look at it, right? When I got started, I thought I was a newspaper reporter, right? And then I got to go from being in little places to big places. And then I got to go from being a reporter to a columnist where I just got to, be me, basically. And that business is coming to an end. It's but the people more than ever need to know what's going on in the world, right? And the only way to really do that effectively is through some form of mass media. And so, the delivery systems are different. I mean, to me, I got to keep working. I mean, I'm not rich enough. So, early in the game, I started doing a lot of talking head TV, which I love and still do a lot of, and talk radio and, host talk radio in New York for a bunch of years. And, then internet came along and, I'm writing, hey, look at it. I mean, I'm writing bathroom books now. I have no standards at all. It just seems to me like, I haven't done like, I haven't sung opera and I haven't done a porno movie. But other than that, I've pretty much done everything else.
All right. So there's got to be something that gets you up in the morning. Looking at Trump, since this is a Trump-centric interview, do you feel that he's added to your life as a journalist and a writer?
Oh, he's been great for me. I mean, I think he's been terrible for America, but he's been great for me. I'm talking and writing about stuff that people are interested in, right? I'm making money off of it. I'm entertaining myself constantly. I mean, it's a really interesting story. And the stakes are very high. Sort of changes are being made in the country that, we can debate whether they're good or bad. I mean, is it good that a child molester may be elected to be the senator from Alabama? I don't know. I mean, people have different opinions about that. But boy, it's interesting to talk about, right?
Yeah, it sure does provide you with fodder for the breakfast table discussion in the morning, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to talk about stuff that is boring to people.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do a show like on Lithuanian folk music or something, but nobody wants to listen to that, right?
Hey, so when you compare his campaign to Hillary's, forgetting about the aftermath, the outcome. But when you were following the campaigns, which one did you pay more attention to?
Oh, he was much more interesting, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, no doubt about it, because it was unpredictable and it was reckless and it was personality driven, and I know it's way, way, way more entertaining to watch. No doubt about it.
Yeah. So the guy is 71 years old. I mean, he never stops moving. He only sleeps like 4 or 5 hours a night. How do you think he keeps up this pace, and is he just going to burn out?
God, I don't know. I mean, you see the stuff about his diet? It's like 12 Diet Cokes a day and 3 fillet of fishes. And he's completely opposed to exercise.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe in exercise. He has this bizarre, I mean, it's a ridiculous, idiotic theory, but that you have a certain amount of energy, and if you exercise, you use it up. I mean, I know he believes. I mean, he's been saying that for years. I know he believes that. I mean, it's not supported by any kind of science or anything, I don't think.
No.
But I don't. What motivates him? God, ego and drive and avarice. And, I mean, the combination of stuff, we're all psychologically complicated, I think, and he definitely is.
Oh, yeah, he is. And I don't think anybody can really figure it out. But yeah, his that latest book, he's basically 4 food groups, I think. Big Macs, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Diet Coke, and I don't know, was it filet of fish? Was that the other food group?
I don't know. 8 hours of television a day. I
don't know.
Now you understand. Now you understand why he's slurring his words, right? I mean, you ate like that, you'd be slurring your words too.
Oh, I would be in the ground already.
By the way, don't do that at home. I mean, any young people listening, do not follow this. I mean, this is not. I know he thinks all that stuff, but it's not right. I mean, you shouldn't eat like that, and you should go get exercise, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. But he's pretty active. I mean, Hillary was like home sleeping, and he's doing half a dozen rallies in a day. It's interesting you say that. It's interesting you say that. I'm not sure how physically active he is, because let me tell you some evidence that argues against that. Like when you almost never see him walking anywhere. True.
Right? Like on the golf course, he's always in a cart, right? He never walks a game of golf. He has very short, walks from the front door to the microphone, or from the White House to the helicopter. I'm not sure what his level of physical activity is. We don't know because we don't see him 24/7. But I've never seen any evidence that he's particularly athletic or particularly physically energetic. But I do think you're right. I mean, he always boasts that he doesn't sleep much. And that might be true. I don't know. It could be.
I think when the tweets come out at 4 a.m, unless somebody's doing it for him.
Yeah, he's up early. That's right. Yeah, I think that's a good point you make. He's definitely up early.
Yeah, I think he's got bad knees myself, judging from the way he
fat,
walks.
I mean, that's what happens when you're overweight, you're 71 years old, your knees tend to go.
Yep, I just see the way he kind of sways when he's walking down the steps from Air Force One, and, knowing a lot of people, well, hell, at our age, Ellis, I mean, who do you know that hasn't had a knee replacement or a hip replacement, right?
I hope that's not my future, but it may be. I don't know.
Well, it's certainly alarmingly high rate, and it's because of being overweight, so you shouldn't have any problem there. Hey, so, like looking at his career in real estate, it's definitely was a roller coaster. But he managed to come out on top. He managed to come back from almost certain ruin. You think that's a quality that's worth emulating?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're all going to be down at some point. You got to find a way back. I mean, in his case, I think the key insight was that there was money. If you're famous, there's money to be made, not actually in doing things, but licensing your name to things. And so, most of the buildings, as you know, that have Trump on the side of the building, he didn't build those buildings. In many cases, he doesn't own those buildings or operate those buildings, but he's licensed his name, which at least until his presidency had some significant value, particularly in international markets at this point.
Absolutely.
And that turns out to be a really good business because you don't actually have to do anything, and people send you money. If I could find a way to get into that business, believe me, I'd quit writing books.
Yeah, well, it's personal branding, and his brand. I think, now that he's in politics, half the people hate his brand, but the other half love it even more than they did before. So I think the brand will live on.
You ask a great question, because will this experience help that or hurt it? Like in some cases in New York, where I am right now, they just took the Trump name, or they are taking it off of the Trump Soho Hotel, which is a condo hotel development in the Soho neighborhood of Lower Manhattan.
Sure.
And I think they decided that it hurt in that neighborhood. But now, in I don't know, some other parts of the globe, maybe it's gotten more valuable. He's certainly gotten more famous, that's for sure.
Hey, so we're talking with Ellis Henican, his new book, Trumpitude, The Secret Confessions of Donald's Brain. Highly recommend it. I'm in the process of downloading it on my Kindle now. Hey, if you had to sum up one thing that really stood out when you're writing the book about him, what would it be, Ellis?
You can create your own reality. You and I and most of your listeners thought that we were kind of stuck with stuff in life. You're stuck with how you look and, how rich you are and what your family background is and your ethnicity and all these things that we always thought were just kind of immutable, unchangeable. And the lesson of Donald is that, you know what? If you can think it, you can be it.
Hey, that's
we can look at it and shake our heads at it sometimes, but I mean, he is what do they say? You have to be a legend in your own mind, and then maybe you can be in your own time.
Hey, well, this is what Oprah has been telling her audiences since she got on the tube. I guess that's the wrong term. On TV, she's been saying, whatever you want to do in life, you can do. Look at me. So really, Donald Trump is the embodiment of Oprah's philosophy, if you want to call it that.
They may be two fine exemplars of that. I'm not sure they're real close to each other, but maybe they ended up in the same spot. That's a good point.
I think all personalities, anyone that accomplishes anything, had to go against the consensus, had to be a contrarian and say, just because they say I can't do it doesn't mean I can't. Just like you said, he couldn't be elected president, and he wasn't sure he could do it either.
I don't think I said that. I said I didn't think he would be elected president. I never thought he couldn't be.
All right, so it was highly unlikely that he'd become president.
I thought he was going to lose. Yeah,
and yet there he is on Air Force One. So maybe there's something to that philosophy. Maybe that's what it all comes down to, Ellis, that you can create your own reality, but you got to use a very fine chisel to do it.
That's a good way to put it, sure.
Hey, well, again, the book, highly recommended, Trumpitude, The Secret Confessions of Donald's Brain by Ellis Henican. Ellis, I really appreciate you coming on. Just tell us where we find the book, your website, etc.
Sure. Hey, real nice to be with you. The book's everywhere. I mean, it's on Amazon and in all bookstores, independents, and the chains as well. And we have a little website if you want to check it out. I mean, guys should go to my website, Henican.com, Henican. That's got all my various adventures there. But real nice to be with you. I enjoyed talking with you.
Likewise, really a pleasure. Hey, so you find Trumpitude, The Secret Confessions of Donald's Brain, wherever fine books used to be sold. You can still find it there. Ellis, a pleasure. Hey, questions, comments for Ellis, myself, be part of the show, KL@KerryLutz.com, Twitter feed @KerryLutz. Ellis, thanks so much. Been a total pleasure.
All right, Kerry. Nice being with you, man.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.